What's up, guys? It's your boy Tank from X99.5, Jacksonville's new alternative. So today we are hanging out with Blame My Youth. We got Sean. We got Will. We had just witnessed an awesome acoustic that you guys just did in the Farrah and Farrah Performance Studio. I loved the way you interacted with your fans. I love the way you answered the questions. You were so thorough in your answers.
Oh, man, thanks. You give me a mic and I start talking.
I like that, man. You know, because a lot of times we talk to artists and they just give you 1 or 2 word answers.
Well, I was a bartender for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it was a small bar where I was like the host. It would come in, there'd be like 2 people at a time.
Yeah.
Like, or 3 people, so I had to be host, bartender, and I like talking to people. So
That's great.
Started there. I feel like up there, you're when you're on stage, you are the bartender. You are the host.
That's true.
So I can just do that, you know? When we're like full tilt with the guys and everything, I don't get that opportunity. But when it's acoustic, it's just like, hey, man, welcome to the bar.
You guys came down just for this, just to do this kind of stuff. Left the band back at home.
Yep, they're done.
Starting a new thing, just the 2 of you.
Going solo, man.
Really, Will is all you need.
Will, yep.
Sean and Will, and
Will is all you need.
Will is all you need. Where there's a will, there's a way. You know what I'm saying?
Where there's a will, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about this traveling together. You've been to Florida before, or is this your first trip to Florida?
Oh, yeah, I've been to Florida. Last band played here a bunch. I actually lived in Siesta Key.
Wow.
I moved like right before I was telling you about the UPS gig.
Uh-huh.
I went to a community college. There was like an acting 101 kind of audition.
Oh, okay.
They're like, if like my friend pulled me into it, and I read this line, or I read this thing, and I got it, and I ended up living, I got to do this internship at the Oslo Conservatory Theater in Sarasota. So
wow.
I found myself like on a white sand beach. Like it was pretty incredible. So I lived for like 1 year, and then there was a hurricane coming. I'm like, in Chicago we don't know about that. We're good with the blizzards, we're good with the tornadoes, but there's a hurricane coming. I'm like, I'm out.
The blizzards, hurricanes, tornadoes, bullets, whatever. Chicago.
Yeah. I'm good with all those except for the hurricanes.
Well, we know that you're from Illinois, outside of Chicago.
Yeah,
Will, where are you from?
From upstate New York.
Upstate New York.
I'm a Brooklyn guy now.
Oh yeah, okay.
I
could tell by the beard. Yeah.
I was about to say.
Yeah. And you play guitar.
Yeah.
And Sean does. Do you do the majority or all of the songwriting?
I co-write with people. So sometimes I co-write with people in the band. Sometimes I co-write with people in Los Angeles. Lately, the new direction, I've just been co-writing with my producer Joey in Nashville.
Okay. And you guys, how did you guys hook up?
Man, so when I started the band, started during pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of started song by song, and then the idea of getting a band, like having a band, like I had that band before, and when I said I quit, I wanted to be a songwriter.
A band called Empires.
Empires, yeah. And I stopped because I wanted to be a songwriter, and I did that for a while, and then during pandemic, I was working with one artist, finishing up his album, and then I watched, Big Lebowski, Train Spotting, started the band. I'm like, man, I had a blast with my bass player and my drummer from the old band. And they are both living we all kind of moved out to LA together to do different things. And I call them like, you guys want to be in a band again? And they're like, yeah. And then one of them, Mike, knew Will from touring Joseph.
With Joseph.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the name of your band, was Joseph.
Yep.
I was a hired guitarist for a band called Joseph. So I had played with our drummer for a while. So I think he kind of knew, okay, this works. He's a good fit. When the pandemic hit, I was like, I'm joining that band. I heard Fantastic, and I'm the guitarist of that
Right,
band.
okay.
Desperately looking for a gig.
Yeah, right, sure, yeah.
Shows. And we had a Zoom call, and I don't think we talked about music at all. It was just...
I mean, so much of this is like, there is the music part of it, but all of it is hang. And like, we're like a goofball crew, and then we got Dave, our cameraman over here, and he was like the missing ingredient to chaos.
Dave looks like he would ride an e-scooter down the hallways of a hotel.
Okay, so Dave, I don't know, Dave, you want to just put your face in here so people can see who you are really quick? I know you're filming, but this is Dave, everybody.
Hey, Dave.
So Dave was actually a professional rollerblader.
What?
You weren't far off.
Do you know Jeremy Rockwell? Yeah, I went to high school with Jeremy Rockwell.
What?
Yeah.
It's a small world.
It is a small, especially in rollerblading, because there's 3 of y'all.
Yeah, you weren't far off, but he was the chaos agent we needed. And we were all kind of chaos agents, but he was the one.
Let's get rollerblading in the
I agree, and with a camera on rollerblades, just smooth. What's that called when they dolly grips?
Yep.
Stuff like that. Yeah, there you go.
Shot.
Yeah, tracking shot.
Yeah,
but you have to wear bike shorts. Real tight.
Well, dude, we're actually next week we're playing X Games, so we're
Nice.
trying to get.
Is that for real?
For real, yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so we're like, it's he's gonna know a bunch of people there, and we're like, hey man, what are those shoes? What are those shoes with the little blade, little escape? He's just shaking his head. Everybody, you can't see this, but he's
So,
so we're trying to get him some
do you
Heelys.
think that this is all just a scam for him to get back to the X Games? Is that why he's
I
doing
think he
all
saw
of this?
he saw the long play.
Yeah.
He is smart.
That's a
so
smart
it's
thinking, Dave.
possible.
I like that. You did talk a little bit about your process. You talked a little bit about getting into this. When you say Big Lebowski rock,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about that.
So I've always needed to like conceptualize things, like anything I'm doing. Like I've always just, if I could like put it into words, I know where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wrote that song, like when I saw those movies, I was thinking about starting a band again because a pandemic, everything's shutting down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was writing and I was doing a solo project with a producer, and the artist was Fitz from Fitz and the Tantrums. He was going solo.
Yeah.
So we were finishing up his album, but I didn't want to do the Zoom like me. Like, I didn't want to Zoom right with anybody else. Once we
Sure.
finished that out, that was awesome. And then one night I watched Train Spotting and Big Lebowski back to back, and then in the middle of Big Lebowski, the idea of Big Lebowski rock hit me. I'm like, oh, just big, unapologetic, over the top choruses, lifestyle kind of songs. The dude abides. So like, and I just woke up the next day, and the first word that pops, like I'm like, what's the biggest word, the most ridiculous word you can throw in a song? And I'm like, fantastic. And if you throw an F-bomb before that, it really kind of connects.
Yeah, no.
So that's why I'm like, oh, Big Lebowski rock, and it helped me kind of look at the songs I'm writing as opposed to like some of the pop stuff and the other stuff that I'm writing. It helped me, like every single chorus has to just go for it, and we did that for a while, and still have that. We still have songs like that, but then when things kind of changed into a different direction, I'm still telling my story through the songs, but I didn't feel like Big Lebowski rock with Running and The Break and the songs we have coming. But I went and put beer into a wine glass one day. I'm like, oh my God, this is beer in a wine glass. If the Hulk was at a dinner party, he might spill it, might drink it, and I just need to kind of like, I need to sort of. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like advertising or something.
Yeah, you need to classify
I
it.
need a slogan.
You need to put it into like a thing that you can grab.
That's it. That's how helps me when I'm writing songs with others. Like if we have the title, we can go there. We know where we're going. So I feel like the band needed a title other than the band name,
Right. And then the band name.
Blame My Youth. Yeah.
Where's that come from? I know what the band name is.
Well, we're just getting out there, everybody.
Yeah, no.
Feels good to be a good new artist again.
Yeah, no. I feel like we've been playing you guys for a while, though.
Yeah, no, we started in pandemic with that song, Fantastic, and then Prize Fighter. You guys played Prize Fighter, and that was last year. Yeah, but we've had a massive evolution this year. But yeah, Blame My Youth. What I wanted to do is like I've had history, obviously, like I was late to music in general. I was really like in my early 20s when I was a drummer in a bagpipe band and a drummer around town.
What?
But like I guess
that's a Chicago.
Long story short, yeah. Shout out Shannon Rovers. My great grandpa started that band. So I was musical, but I never really wrote songs. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That sort of thing. And I had that, but I wasn't writing anything until I was working at UPS, and the guy was like, I was telling that story. Then I started like thinking about writing songs. I read that book, The War of Art, and all that. So I have a history, and I'm in a happy relationship right now, but the summer of heartbreak is 2007, 2006, 2008 for me, 2009.
All of those?
Yeah.
Sounds like summer just sucks for you.
No. It was like I was in something, and I got my heart smashed, and that's when I started a band and all that stuff. Tales all this time. But when I was writing this, I'm like, man, I still got stories to tell from that. So I'm like, what if I just call this Blame My Youth? Like, and I can just like, there's a heartbreak bag, there's a trouble bag, there's like there's just a bag of stuff from my past I can like unpack. It's got therapy.
Bag of woes.
Bag of woes.
You can keep that.
Bag of woes. I like that.
Yeah, it's not bad. How about
bag of woes or bag of woes?
It's WOE was what I was. Yeah, that's what I was.
I'm more of a whoa guy, but yeah.
You were talking about your visit to Tokyo and all the amazing things you guys did there, and you mentioned the guy Johnny Pandora.
Oh yeah, man! I got the comb right here.
Yeah.
I stole everything.
You stole it?
No. He gave this to me.
Oh, okay.
Here, Johnny Pandora he does this brand of, he calls it samurai rock and roll.
That's awesome.
Where he like looks like he's a greaser. He's straight up like in 1961, and he dances, and him and his friends all like they wear the leather jackets, and they have the look, the period down, and they dance in the park, and they dance, and they tour around the world, and they play their brand of like samurai rock and roll, which is kind of like rockabilly. And I met him, and this will sum up Johnny Pandora. At the very end, like, so we wrote a song after seeing him dance, and the producer and I, like, just telling the story. Like, we wrote the song called Tokyo Rose really fast because we saw a video Johnny did, and we were inspired in writing about it.
Yeah.
And that took us to Tokyo, and he was in the video. And this will sum him up. I mean, and it felt like, before I say that, and it felt like we got off of the plane. We took off in 2024, Los Angeles 2024, and then we landed in 1961 in Tokyo.
Nice.
Because everybody is just like committed every day of their life. They are that character. That is the lifestyle. And at the end of the shoot, we're having a beer, and it was awesome. Like, we spent 4 days in Tokyo, made the video, and then I look at Johnny. I'm like, are you in a relationship or anything? And he just looks at me. He goes, I'm married to rock and roll. I'm like, man. So I'm like, you know what? That I went back. I got these pants. I started rolling up the sleeves. I'm like, I'm also married. I'm married to rock and roll too, buddy.
You guys are sister husbands.
Yeah. Yes.
Whatever. Yeah. Yep. Eskimo brothers in rock and roll.
Yes,
I love
we
that.
Sure are.
And how do you like describe what you were doing before Big Lebowski Rock? Because I get like a real hip hop vibe from you a little bit.
Honestly, it's funny you say that. I started when I left the band and I got the song placement I was telling you about, the Courtney Love cut.
Yeah.
That took me from like bartending and band failure in Chicago. It took me to Los Angeles, and I had a cut right away. And I had a manager that was managing our band. His name was Gary, and he was managing our band towards the end. But when he was out in Los Angeles, and he also started general managing Timbaland at the time.
Oh wow!
And so I came out, and he's like, I think you'd be great in the room with him. And I'm like, okay, cool. So the first sessions that I started doing, there was a band that he was working with called Jack and Jack. They were like a pop, but like rappy pop kind of group. And I started doing Timbaland sessions and like being in that kind of world with that artist. And I've always my favorite music is my favorite music has pretty much been hip hop kind of forever. Common from Chicago was huge.
Yeah,
it was Resurrect Common Sense, and then you changed it to Common, and then I found Kanye and then KRS-One and all this stuff, and that's not necessarily Chicago, but then Chance the Rapper, like that was when I started writing like pop music or like even alternative pop. I was listening to a lot of like Coloring Book by like Chance the Rapper, and that's the stuff I love. That's like stuff I play around the house, but hip hop's a big influence. R&B is a big influence.
I can really hear that in your
like SZA's my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen to something. It's probably a SZA song.
I think B is one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time.
It's
that,
genius. And
that
he has John Mayer
intro.
on there.
Oh my
Do 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 do. Dude, honestly, that's in my head when I'm just walking to the coffee maker in the morning. Like that's in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm smiling.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's so
gonna be
great.
a good day.
He's incredible. Well, you're as a guitar player. Hip hop influences. Who's some of your guitar heroes? You have guitar heroes?
Not a lot of hip hop influences, a little bit here and there, but guitar influences Billy Corgan.
Really? Oh, okay. You know what's weird it's like now that I'm an older guy and I talk to you younger guys, it's not Jimi Hendrix and
well, there's a lot of that too. I mean,
well, sure, everybody, but I mean, hearing Billy Corgan, that's really wild.
The one who makes the guitar sound like it's in pain.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I listen to Billy Corgan and I hear so much Tony Iommi in his music.
Oh, big time.
You know what I mean? And I love the way he took the Black Sabbath kind of darkness and made it into, instead of like scary, made it sad. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's a beautiful way that you see how music is transitioning. You talk about you love hip hop and taking the way you hear hip hop and turning it into the music that you make. Yep. And
Yeah, I love solving that puzzle.
Yes.
Listening to a song and then hearing like, oh, that's derivative.
Yes.
A little bit, or like, yeah, there's Sabbath in there, but it's totally new.
It's a fresh take. That's why I love cover songs. I love cover songs because that's like hearing somebody else's song through another person's ears.
Dude, like, and speaking of cover songs, you're listening to like what Royal Otis have done with like the Cranberry, like
Linger. Oh my God,
that performance and everything. Yeah. It's like, did it just become their song? Like,
yes.
So every so often that happens, like with "Hurt" by 9 Inch Nails and Johnny Cash. Like, I kind of became that cover was so a crazy time in his life, and coupled with the video, that kind of became Johnny Cash's song.
I mean, honestly, you kind of forget that it was a Nine Inch Nails song.
Dude, nowadays people like if you even talk to like younger people,
Yeah.
if you sing that song, I've done it in sessions, people do think it's a Johnny Cash song.
Yes.
And that's a Tales all this time. Bob Dylan and Jimi Hendrix were all on the Watchtower. Like and I just love what that band Royal Otis is doing because they Murder on the Dance Floor. It's like they're doing these songs, but they're so concrete. They're artists to the bone, and everything they touch turns into their song. I think that's a crazy quality.
I mean, that's a huge like testament to their ability.
It really is.
And Fleetwood Mac, Landslide,
Oh, yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins, the Smashing Pumpkins version
Yeah.
to me is the definitive version of that song.
That was my favorite. That actually still to this day is my favorite version of that song.
Yeah, I mean, it's
no one's
incredible.
going to touch Dreams. They could try to the end of the world.
Yeah, there's just there's something in the fact that she was writing a diss track about the guy who was playing the guitar on the song.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
That
that's
band
gangster as
dynamic.
fuck, man. I mean, you can't.
That all those songs came out of that insane band. We need to like figure out our band dynamic to start.
I mean, it seems like Will is definitely the guy that lifts the weights the most.
Look at him.
Start some shit.
Yeah.
We need to start fighting more.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think you need like somebody in the band that you guys both have a crush on.
Yes.
Because that creates that tension.
Yep. We got to switch things up.
Yeah.
Like I said, the other guys aren't here right now.
The other guys,
the band,
you know what? You probably don't even need them. To
are
be
we starting
honest
over
with
like
you.
right now?
I mean, like, what do you put? Like a kick? You get a kick drum. You replace the drummer. You know what I mean? Like you play the kick drum while you're playing guitar. Who needs a drummer?
How do you know?
Tune down your guitar. No bass player needed.
Get mic on speaker. Let's go.
Yeah, that's over. All right, I could talk to you guys all day because I love music and I think you guys are awesome.
Dude, you're an encyclopedia too.
I'm old as hell, but thank you so much for coming by. The Fair and Fair Performance Studio performance was incredible.
Dude, our pleasure. Thank you.
And we appreciate you taking the time because I know that you got a lot of things to do. And coming to Florida it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, as you mentioned.
No, not when it's 96 degrees and like an ocean of humidity.
It's so soupy. It's
know
like
how you do
sitting in a bowl of soup.
What are you guys doing here?
I hate the humidity. It's
awesome in the
terrible.
winter, but like
No, yeah, wintertime is great. But like right now I feel like a piece of celery in a
dude.
bowl of soup and I hate it.
Yep.
So we got Sean and Will from Blame My Youth. What camera am I looking? I don't even know what camera I'm looking at. Thank you guys so much for coming by. I appreciate you.
Dude, thank you, man.
Check out the single. You guys got a new album coming out.
Yeah,
we're
working on right now. We got other
Yeah.
singles coming out in the next month and a half.
Okay.
We got a bunch, and then we're finishing up the album.
And then merch at the merch table. You're gonna start having the Blame My Youth nameplate.
Someone made this for us.
Yeah,
It's pretty
how
sick.
crazy is that?
I forgot I was wearing it.
Yeah, it's so comfortable.
Sick.
So thank you guys for coming by. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank
Take
you.
it easy. Safe travels.